28 years and 3 days ago to this day, I bought my first camera. My first camera was right here, was a Minolta Dynax 300 SI. Now I don't specifically remember the SI being on mine, but this is the camera I had. I had the kit lens that came with it, and I wanted to be a photographer, so I bought one. Moving from Ohio to California at the age of 14, I didn't have many friends, so typically I wanted to look for something to do. And I got into mountain biking, martial arts, and photography. And that was my first camera. I remember purchasing it, and then 3 days later, I know I got home, I opened it up, and remember, it's all photography. It was all film back then, no digital. So I took a couple snapshots. Don't know what they look like because it didn't develop it yet. And 3 days later, my mom said, hey, let's go to Hollywood. Because we love to go to Hollywood and look at the old Hollywood stuff and where the stars live and all that stuff. And I really loved movie magic and acting and all that thing. That's why I probably became a cinematographer or a videographer and now a photographer. And so we went down there, and on my way down there, right when we started entering Los Angeles, I took my first photo. And that is Los Angeles. And what's cool about these cameras is they had auto, so I had it on auto and I rolled the window down and I took the shot right here. Actually, when you look at it, you guys can't tell, but it's quite sharp. The color's great. I exposed properly and everything. If you were to see this photo, if it was a good photo and I put it on social media or even handed this to you, you would have no idea that that was from 28 years ago on a Minolta film camera. And how I know the date is on the back of all my photos. This is a little piece of Velcro that I stick on the wall there. On the back, I put Los Angeles 1193. So that was that was this month, 11th, but 28 years ago. So I took my first photo, and after I take that photo, I took many other photos in Hollywood. All in auto. I didn't know what I was doing, and then I developed these, and I go, oh wow. So I put where I took the photo basically and the date. So it's kind of cool. And over the years, I would do the film thing and whatever. And this is a 4x6. I never printed anything larger. Like I still got to fill that frame behind me, which I'm still looking for the photo to do that. But everything I were to go get printed out would be a 4x6 like this. Nothing any bigger. And once digital started coming out, it was like, I think I was the Nikon, I don't remember what my first digital camera was. Nikon D60 or something. I can't remember what it was, but it's my first digital. Once digital came out, then you can see your photos right away, and I immediately stopped printing, like immediately. It wasn't until just 12 years ago I started doing videography professionally, and then just maybe, well, I don't know, 8 years ago or 7 years ago, I started doing photography professionally. And the only prints I would do is, well, I don't have it here, is magazines. I wouldn't print them. I would do fashion shoots for magazines, and the publisher would print those magazines out. So that's the only work that I did that went to print. The other print that I would do is prints for a couple weddings that I did. They wanted them printed out. And then not too long ago, maybe a month ago, I did my first print basically in putting some prints on the wall in our room to where we travel and all that stuff. So I started getting more into printing lately and more into the art of photography and getting away from that gear photography like I've been talking about. And man, it's just opened up so much just nostalgia for me and stuff like that. So what I ended up doing is I want to get a printer, and I didn't know, should I get one of those really giant printers that could do really big things, but that's a lot of money. Should I get one of the small little portable ones that can just fit in a bag? But the resolution and the color on those weren't that great, and they're not that big. And I'm going to show you this one, and actually let's see if I can switch over there now. This is the one I was really looking at. This is the Fujifilm Instax Wide. Now this prints, it's pretty nice because it's all small and battery operated and stuff, but the print is 2x4 by 3x9. Now that is not very large, and so I was like, I don't know, I like my 4x6. So I started searching more, and what was really important to me was something small and something that is battery operated, so I could take it with me if I wanted to. And that's this little sucker right here. This is the Canon SELPHY CP1300. c1300, and I got that right here. If I can just switch over. Well, that didn't switch, did it? That is right here. This is the Canon SELPHY CP1300 compact photo printer battery bundle. Now I got it with the battery bundle so that I can use this thing and not have to be plugged in if I want to. And this thing is absolutely amazing. Before I bought it, I was doing some reviews on battery operated small printers and which ones have the best quality and all that. And really this one came out on top on every review I did when it comes to small battery operated printers. And it happens to print 4x6 where all those other ones are really small. I have some of them that come out of my Instax what do you call it? Instant camera, but they're real small, and even the wide is, like I said, was it 3x9 something, so pretty small. This is really good. Brings me right back to the days of this. And so what I did was I got this printer, and I got these. You can get these at B&H too. I'll put the links in the description. These are little photo books or photo albums, and they only hold 20 because I wanted to put just 20 photos of a certain genre or something in these. And right now I'm just filling up the just putting anything in it because I'm testing out the printer and stuff, so there's nothing cohesive in here, but just trying out different print methods and stuff like that. And these little things that come out pretty darn good. 20 photos, so I got that, and now I could fill those up with certain projects. And it's 16x9, and the print quality is really, really good. I just printed this one out here. Actually, I'm going to show you. This one has borders because I was trying. There's a thing in here you could do border or borderless. And when you do borders, you can see that it's not 16x9 no more. It's quite small. And you will see that these are perforated on the edges, which I will show you that in a minute. But this isn't a 16x9 because you got to break these ends off. But I mean, the image is much smaller. Let me break this off here. See, if you cut these off on the end, this is how it's made. It's made to do that. Now that the whole size of this 16x9, but you can see because I have border, I don't like it. I wish it was the border like this all the way around, and you might be able to do that in this printer. I'm not going to do any tutorials on how to work the printer. It's very basic. I'm going to show you the basic just to give me a full, 4x6 like this. But you will notice that once you break those edges off, it's not quite, you can see that, let me put it there, it's not quite 4x6. You can see there's a little bit of a millimeter shorter than 4x6. So keep that in mind. For me, I don't mind, okay? The other thing is, when you do print borderless, it will print a little bit over these lines. So when you tear this off, you're going to cut just it's such a small line on each side, so it does kind of crop your image once you tear those off. Again, it's probably not going to matter unless you're really critical and when you did your composition, you had something like right on the edge, like Uncle Bob's face is like his ear's right here. So once you tear this off, Uncle Bob doesn't have an ear no more. But as a photographer, you should know that, especially if you're going to print, to just shoot a little wider than usual. That way it can fit in frames and all that. So I don't find that an issue, but we're going to try that out and we're going to compare how much it cuts off. So this thing's great. Now it does come with, of course, this is just, I put it in a little bag here. This is the plug. You can plug it into the wall. When you put the battery in that you can see right here, that's how you charge it also. You just plug the unit in and it charges the battery. You can print up to, I've seen it say it twice and I don't understand. It's either 35 photos or 54 photos on the battery. I'm not sure which one that is, but for me, 30 photos is plenty for the battery to last, because I probably won't be printing much of that out. Now, this is the ink cartridges here. Now, the cool thing about the ink, when you buy the ink, they come with an ink cartridge and paper, and there's enough ink for the paper that you get. So you never have to, you typically won't run out of ink before the paper or the paper before the ink. You buy the kit like this, you put it in there, and you can print out. I think these might be 20 sheets or something in here, something like that. And it's really nice and convenient. And the way this thing works, before we show you how it works, I just did a what's in my bag video, and I was showing off my Peak Design 10 liter. This is the older version. I think the older versions prettier looking than the newer ones. But lo and behold, if you saw that video, you'll see the gear that I use. Go watch the video after this one. That same gear, this also fits right inside here, as you can see, right there. It fits right there, and I still had my flash right here. I still had my camera and over here, and a lens right here as well. And you will need the paper tray, which is separate, and the paper tray just fits down right here, which is no big deal. Whoops. It just fits right there, like it takes up no space. And it's not that heavy, you know? So it's pretty cool. So even though those smaller Instax wide battery operated printers are much smaller, you're getting a 4x6 better print quality, color, and resolution from a very small and lightweight battery operated printer that'll give you at least 30 photos. I'm just guessing. They said 35 in another paragraph. It says 55. So at least 30 photos on the fly, which is pretty cool. Now, you're wondering, why would you want to even take a printer with you? Well, in this specific scenario, we were in Ohio, and me and my wife visited one of my grandma's old friends. She's like 87 now. We went to her house and visit her, and she mentioned, like, oh, I gotta, just in conversation, oh, I gotta remember to go get some yarn tomorrow. I said, you know what, I'll go get you your yarn. So yeah, the next day, me and my wife went out, we bought a bunch of yarn for her, and we haven't seen her in a long time. And as we were getting the yarn, I said, hey, let's do a selfie of ourselves with all this yarn. I bought her way more than she needed, just because it's kind of cool. All this yarn, kind of a selfie in the store, and I literally bought a frame also in Joann's Fabric along with the yarn, and I was able to print it out in the car right here and put it in a frame. So when we showed up, I gave her all the yarn, and it was kind of a cool idea to give her a printed photo that's something physical that she can hold and in a frame, because when we were at her house, I noticed she liked prints, and she didn't have computers, she don't have a smartphone, she didn't have anything. So that like came in real handy for cool stuff like that. You can also take prints out and display them and take photos of those and just be kind of creative like that if you want to take it with you. So that's kind of cool. So I'm going to show you how quick this is. Now you can get into this and do all kind of different things. Like you can have one 4x6 with a collage on it and all that. I'm not going to do that. There's two apps that, well, there's one app you have to have, and it's called the Canon Print. And then the other one, if you want to do all the fancy stuff by putting little stickers and titles and stuff, it's called Canon SELPHY. I'm not even going to deal with that one, although I've installed them both here. We're just going to do the Canon app. So this is how easy it is. First of all, here is where you put the ink. It only goes one way, so you can't screw that up. And once you go into your Wi-Fi settings, you click on Wi-Fi, you're going to see the router of this thing turn on, which first we're going to turn this on by just pressing and holding on. And once that turns on, it's going to activate the Wi-Fi. And I'm looking for it here in my Wi-Fi settings. It should say CP13. It says SELPHY here. You can hear it. So it's turning on there. And it'll say CP1300 here any minute. And there it is. So took a couple minutes there, a few minutes. So make sure it's on. Once that's on, you open this up here. This paper tray comes closed like this. You put the paper in it, very simple. Then you just open it up halfway here and you put it in the front like that. Put that bad boy down here, flip this up, and now you go and you open up. I'm gonna see if I can do this holding this weird, but you go to the Canon app. Now that's all I did. There's nothing else I'm doing it. I turn that on, I put the paper slot in there, and I connected it through my Wi-Fi settings, and then click on the printer. We want a paper print. The smartphone is where this is stored. This is an iPad, but it's a smartphone. You click on the photo you want, you click on add, and then you click on next. And now there's options here, but I don't even touch the options. I can edit my photo, which I'm not going to do, and then I could change it to bordered or borderless, but I already showed you that. If you do bordered, you're going to get a smaller photo than 4x6. I want to go borderless, so I wanted to do the whole print, and we just click on print. So this is going to print, and we're going to show you, what it looks like when it's not bordered. Same photo. So I may speed this up, I may not, but right now the screen on the SELPHY says busy. So You can hear it. So it's grabbing the paper, and you can't see it, but it shoves it out through the back, and then it brings it through, and it does that, 4 times? We got the yellow, yellow's first. What's the next color that it does? Now it does the magenta second. So now we're getting the magenta here. And then it goes through there. And now we're getting the blue. And then it does a final pass that does some type of a protective coat on it. And this kind of shows you the progress also on the iPad. So I'm going to put the iPad down because we're not going to use that no more. And now I'm going to show you, earlier I told you that it kind of crops off the edges, and I'll show you that here in a second. And that's it. And you could touch it and everything else. It's all ready to go. I'm just going to turn this off by pressing and holding the on button. And we can close that up, and this can close like this. And we're done with the printer. It's pretty simple, basic, and it's quick. Now, here's the photo, see? It printed a little over these lines, and I don't know if you could tell that in the video. Let me see if I can. You can kind of see it. So it's going to crop off. Let's see how much it crops off. If you're really picky about things cropping off, it's a little more than I thought. You could always do, bordered, and you might be able to play with the settings of the border to get them a little closer to this edge, this edge here. But you know what? I just don't think it's that big of a deal. But anyways, I'm going to break this off or bend it. I'm going to see if you guys can see this. Let's just go like that. So here is, when you break this off, you're cropping it. Maybe if I take these all the way off, you guys can see how much of the photo is being cut off. So there it is, and I don't think it crops it much, but let's see if you guys can see on each side. You can see the ink there. That's how much it's going to crop off. I wish they didn't do that. I wish that they didn't even have these perforated edges, so that you can use something like this, because then you can just cut off where you want it. I mean, that's all they have to do is stop making the perforated paper. But anyways, that's what you get with border, and this is what you get with borderless. And I'll take the little bit of crop because I don't think it really destroys my composition. So I stopped the video, I signed off, and as I was shutting my camera off and all that stuff, I realized that I actually like this. Now this is the bordered version of the, you've seen this already. And once you cut snap the sides off, there's too much space on the sides. It depends maybe on how you might crop it in post also. I'm not sure, I'll have to figure that out. But what I did was I just made, I got one of these paper cutters, and I have it set on my paper cutter. You guys can't see this or whatever. At a certain position that I can measure, and when I cut it, I can measure the sides exactly the same and cut it off. And it actually, now I don't have no crop, because I was telling you when you snap those off on full 4x6, you're going to crop some of your image. So if you really don't want any of that little small cropping to happen, and you don't mind a smaller than a 4x6 photo, you can do it this way. And I actually, when I did it, I actually kind of liked the border. It looks really nice. So just thought I'd add that in. That I might just go with a smaller than 4x6 and do this. But if you do that, then you have to think, if you buy a frame, then it might not frame up. So that's about it. Is there anything else here to talk about? I don't think so. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below, and I guess we'll talk to you next time. Bye.